Good evening and thank you for joining us here on Rwanda Television for the English News Bulletin. We will begin with the headlines. Security analysts in the region finds that the international community should not deliberately overlook the root causes of the security issues in the Eastern DRC. Economic analysts emphasize the importance of focusing on the agriculture sector as it has the potential to reduce the country's reliance on costly imports while increase domestic production. On the international scene, President-elect Donald Trump did not rule out using military or economic coercion to gain control of the Panorama Canal and Greenland. My name is Olive Nathan. It's a great pleasure to have you with us. Now let's dive in the news in details. This afternoon at Urugwiro village, President Paul Kagame met with Louise Mushikiwabo, the Secretary General of the Organisation Internationale de la Francophonie, for discussions on the ongoing fruitful collaboration between Rwanda and the OEF. Moving ahead, security analysts in the region finds that the international community should not deliberately overlook the root causes of the security issues in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo for the sake of personal interests. Adam Squizera has more on this.
As the Democratic Republic of Congo DRC maintains its instance of refusing direct talks with M23, a Congolese armed group advocating for the rights of marginalized communities, particularly the Tutsi ethnic, which has lived in DRC for over centuries and continue to face persecution. As this government of DRC continues to support and collaborate closely with the genocidal militia, FDLR, a terrorist group primarily driven by genocide ideology. On the battlefield, the M23 group continues to capture new territories, while emphasizing that political dialogue remains the only viable path to addressing the underlying issues that prompt them to take up arms. Ambassador Joseph Mutabawa, an expert in politics and international relations, highlights that efforts to find a lasting solution are hindered by the refusal to address the truth about the root causes of the issue.
Those who divided us, those who drew the maps, the new maps, those who said from now on that volcano is not Rwandan, that volcano is Ugandan, because one British colonizer wanted to have a look at the volcanoes also. It is a fact, it's been done. But we should be able to convince these guys the time has come to break the silence. They've kept quiet for a long time, and yet they are responsible for what has happened. I'm not asking them to repent. It might not be the case, but they will never repent, maybe. But at least we recognize through their writings, through the deeds, they are documented, dated. Yes, we did this. We are sorry. They may not say sorry. I don't expect any sorry from them. It's not necessary. But tell the truth. Tell the truth and make people understand, look, guys, this was the fact.
The US and the European Union have recently urged M23 to withdraw from the territories it has captured. However, they have not been forthcoming about addressing the root causes of the conflict, even as they acknowledge the Democratic Republic of Congo's close collaboration with the genocidal militia, FDLR. In a message posted on X, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Ambassador Olivier Nduhungirehe, expressed disappointment with the international community for urging M23 to withdraw from the areas it has captured, while ignoring the large parts of the Masisi territory are all under the control of FDLR, a foreign force occupying Congolese territory. He criticized the failure to condemn the ongoing violation of Congolese lands, which belong to Congolese communities, including the Congolese Tutsi. He noted that this instance implies that a Rwandan genocidal force is deemed to legitimate on DRC soil than Congolese community that the FDLR seeks to exterminate. This is where Ambassador Joseph Mutabawa highlighted that the international community's vested interests in the DRC are the primary reason for its deliberate disregard of the root causes of the conflict.
Critical that is, they have been looking after those FDRRs for the last 30 years in the same place, where they dislodged the natural inhabitants of that. So overnight, over years, they have completely just brushed the whole thing. They don't want to hear that story. It's part of the history. It has happened. The end of the broad right. So why can you forget this? And now, 30 years later, say M23 should be condemned because they have liberated the Masisi. Now people can just go free, no more cows being killed and so on. Why? It's because they had interest in that. If you check the report the way it is written, they mention later on FDRR supported by the FIDC and so on. It's as if it's a by the way note in the small print. It is ridiculous. It's immoral. It's ridiculous.
Minister Nduhungirehe also pointed out that conflict in the Eastern DRC cannot be resolved through quick fixes, nice pictures and handshakes, the infantilization of the DRC leadership, or through the usual accusations and blame game by the international community. In end of your message, President Paul Kagame emphasized that shortcuts or temporary fixes cannot provide a lasting solution to this issue.
Unfortunately, we continue to see instability in our region along our borders. I want to assure you that Rwanda's security and sovereignty will always be fully protected by all means necessary. Shortcuts and temporary fixes cannot resolve this issue. There has to be a comprehensive solution that deals with root causes in the medium and long term, which should guarantee lasting peace for all the peoples of our region. This is important for all of us, without exception. There is no peace for some and not for others. We all need the same peace.
Rwanda has repeatedly stated that it will not lift its defensive measures as long as the Democratic Republic of Congo continues to be a home of terrorist groups that threaten its security. Adam Squizera, RwandaTV News, Kigali.
Thank you, Adam, for the details. Now, the Rwanda Biomedical Center has announced that Rwanda is on track to eliminate neglected tropical diseases by 2030, in line with the Kigali Declaration, which was signed by several countries during the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting held in Kigali in June 2022.
Neglected tropical diseases have negative effects on those affected and can kill them. Intestinal worms and other NTDs contribute to the stunting of our populations. Globally, about 1.7 billion people are estimated to be affected by NTDs. Africa is the most affected part of the globe, with almost 40% of the global NTD burden. In Rwanda, we are similarly affected by common NTDs. We need binding commitment to fight NTDs to ensure the next generation is free from their negative effects. To achieve this, there is a need to effectively implement the roadmap that will guide our actions for the next decade.
Globally, there are 21 recognized NTDs, but Rwanda is focused on the elimination of just 9 which remain in the country. Ladislas Nshimiyimana, acting director of the NTDs and other parasitic diseases unit at the Rwanda Biomedical Center, emphasized that significant strides have been made in the recent years in alignment with Rwanda's commitment to eliminating these diseases and the targets set by the World Health Organization. As a result, Rwanda is now considered one of the leading countries in the fight against NTDs. Rwanda's investment in eradicating NTDs is driven by the significant financial burden they impose on the country each year. These diseases not only require substantial resources for treatment, but also impose a heavy cost on patients. Despite being preventable and treatable, eliminating these diseases will alleviate the economic strain on both the healthcare system and affected individuals.
As it was the country commitment to eliminate this disease during the Kigali Declaration, so it was requiring to put too much effort, including funding, including technical support, and the multi-sectoral collaboration. These are the diseases that are linked with the different factors, not only related to health, requiring effort to collaborate with different sectors and partners. So it has been much effort to collaborate with different partners through multi-sectoral collaboration, as well as when you look at the technical working group on NTDs. So it is combining different sectors. So they are working together. So we make sure that we join effort to eliminate this disease. But particularly the government has contributed in terms of finance to the country intervention. So including contribution to purchasing drugs for mass drug administration for adults, which is different from other countries because the adults are not targeted. To make sure that we target everyone, so everyone is included, to make sure that we accelerate the elimination of these diseases. But beyond that, many other interventions, including capacity building, availing services, the integration into routine services, as well as the centralization of services up to the lowest level. So to make sure that the community has access to the service, but not doing long distance, as well as the cost of services, as most of them are covered with the health insurance.
Now to the agriculture sector, economic analysts emphasize the importance of focusing on the agriculture sector as it has the potential to reduce the country's reliance on costly imports while increasing domestic production. Strengthening agriculture could also boost production for both processing industries and exports. We have more on this.
While Rwanda has made significant strides in agriculture development over the past 30 years, stakeholders in the sector highlight several key issues that require government attention. These include the need for increased investment to better support the youth, ensuring they have the resources and opportunities to thrive in agriculture. The Bank of Agriculture could be a sustainable solution to agriculture issues, as we pointed out that since 2003. However, progress has been slow. What is clearly evident is lack of proper investment in agriculture. There are various existing projects, but they often only address a small part of the issue before fading away, instead of continually cycling through short-term projects. There should be a focus on finding a sustainable solution to investing in agriculture. As for those of us involved in processing agriculture products, we need access to small credit with an 8% interest rate to enable us to achieve significant progress. Additionally, a grace period of at least 2 to 3 years will be crucial to allow us effectively carry out these projects. This would provide us with sufficient working capital and investment, helping us to meet the demands of the Rwandan market. On the other hand, the agriculture sector has consistently faced challenges including climate change. Rwanda is actively seeking solution. Honorable Nizimana Jean-Claude emphasized the need for large-scale irrigation strategies to address these challenges effectively. Well, we need to establish an agriculture system that is not dependent on weather, whether it is for those who cultivate during rainy season or those who use irrigation systems. This approach would help us increase agricultural productivity as well as productivity in livestock. It will also enable us to produce more for processing in industries and also have enough export. The Minister of Agriculture and Animal Resources, Dr. Mark Chuahiro Bagabe, explains that the government has committed to making substantial investment in irrigation projects as a key solution to the challenges posed by prolonged periods of sunlight. That is why the government of Rwanda is investing heavily in irrigation. On a larger scale, agricultural zones have been merged, and residents with small plots of land, such as half of a hectares near rivers, are being supported. This allows them to cultivate high-yield crops that are profitable, such as fruits, vegetables, tomatoes, and others. Under the 5-year National Strategy for Transformation, NEC2 plans in place to increase agriculture and livestock loans from 6% to 10%. Economic analysts, considering the depreciation of the Rwandan franc, believe that investing in agricultural development could offer a sustainable solution to this issue. Across the African continent, $50 million is still spent annually on imported food. As of nearly 2024, Rwanda scored 8.7 out of 10 in its progress towards implementing the Malabo Declaration on Agriculture. No other African country has reached the expected average score of 9.29 out of 10 as outlined in the report. A summit of African heads of state and government is set to take place in Kampala, Uganda on Thursday to address the challenges that have hindered the full implementation of the 2014 Malabo report.
Thank you, Adams, for the details. Now, senior security officials from countries along the northern corridor, including Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya, and South Sudan, are convening in Kigali to enhance collaboration on ensuring the security and stability of this vital regional route. And Nora Gladys takes us through.
The Northern Corridor is an initiative established during a summit of heads of state from Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya, and South Sudan, held in Entebbe, Uganda in 2013. Over the past 11 years, this corridor has fostered cooperation across various sectors, including military collaboration, currently spearheaded by Rwanda. The Director of Multilateral Cooperation in the Department of International Military Cooperation in the Ministry of Defense of Rwanda, Lieutenant Colonel Eugene Rozindana, states that this meeting aims to refine the military agreements between these countries.
The Defense Cooperation Cluster have met several times, and today the expert working group is meeting to review and refine 3 documents, which namely are the mechanism on accession to Mutual Defense Pact. That's the first one. And the second one is the coordination mechanism of foreign affairs, defense and security policies. And the third is coordination mechanism for comprehensive conflict prevention and management and resolution. So this expert working group is working on those 3 documents for 3 days. And after review and refinement of these documents, the select committee will submit them to the next level, which is the ministerial level for further management.
In addition to military cooperation, Rwanda, within the framework of the Northern Corridor, also leads initiatives in areas such as migration, tourism, trade, labor and services, customs harmonization, peace and security, and airspace management. Lieutenant Colonel Walwa, Chief Operations at Kenya's Ministry of Defense, highlighted that military cooperation among the Northern Corridor countries has already delivered tangible results, particularly through knowledge sharing.
One is promotion of good peace and good neighborliness within the partner states that has ensured that local authorities have been empowered to solve conflicts at that particular level. Secondly, this has been an artery actually for the economic growth within the partner states. You realize that security forms a major backbone to prosper economic growth within the region. And the mutual defense cooperation has really played a very great role. As for Kenya, I might state that we've had, through this, we've had regional security being enhanced within cross-border. We have issues like cross-border security, human trafficking, and other transnational crimes that have gone down because of our cooperation between the the three partner states.
The 2013 Summit of the Heads of State of the Northern Corridor countries approved several joint projects mainly aimed at easing trade and fostering relationships. These include the construction of railway using a single identity card, harmonizing customs, the petroleum pipeline project, and others. The last such military cooperation meeting took place last year, and this current one is preparing for the upcoming Summit of the Heads of State, which will take place in the coming days. Enora Gladys, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Enora, for the details. Now, the private sector operators in Rwanda, particularly those with small and medium-sized enterprises, have welcomed government's decision to streamline service delivery in national quality infrastructure. They say this is a good step towards simplification of quality service procedures. William Evans has more on this.
Annette Kasabiti is an entrepreneur who adds value to vegetables, processing carrots, ginger and other vegetables into flour through a small factory, who has found markets abroad but faced challenges due to the lengthy and costly process of obtaining quality certification.
The challenge was that we couldn't complete the certification process. Reason being it was a little bit expensive. Like one certification for one product, it could go up to 600, and that is only Rwanda RSB. Without including the Rwanda FDA, where you could pay 200,000 francs every year. So it was really hard. And now I think because all these regulations that have been changed, where we are now able to have the certifications without paying too much money and investment. We are so thankful to the government. We promise that we will not let you down. We endeavor to make good quality products and be able to meet the international standards.
The process has been in place, but it has been lengthy and difficult, and sometimes goods expired before they were exported, especially for perishable goods. We are so grateful that the government has evaluated these issues and resolved to streamline these processes. Walter Hunde, the spokesperson for Rwanda Private Sector Federation, stated that previously, the time lost by private sector operators trying to obtain various documents hindered trade. Acquiring new permits or renewing expired ones has been taking much longer than expected. Extending the time limit is a good thing and will reduce on the time initially lost chasing these documents. Minsa Seba has explained that those needing quality services will no longer be required to go to the three institutions offering these services. Instead, they'll be able to obtain them in one location. We have already guided that no document will be offered twice. Once one institution has offered it, there will be no need for seeking for the same document from another institution. In addition, all evaluation shall be conducted once and on the same day. Usually, quality assurance services are provided by three institutions: the National Standard Board, RSB, the National Food and Drug Quality Control Authority, Rwanda FDA, and Rwanda Inspectorate, Competition and Consumer Protection Authority, RICA. Each of these institutions offered certifications to businesses requiring quality documentation along with associated costs. William Evans, Mtabazi, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Evans. Now, members of the Parliament have called on the Ministry of Local Government to collaborate with relevant institutions to revise the form used by civil status registrars when a widow or widower seeks to utilize part of the land or other property previously shared with a deceased spouse. During a session on Wednesday, the Committee on Land, Agriculture, Livestock and Environment noted that the 2021 law on land and related regulations have addressed numerous social welfare issues. However, they emphasized the need for effective implementation of these laws. Specifically, they highlighted concerns with the form used to enforce Article 377 of the law, which outlines succession modalities for spouses married under the community of proper regime, and members urged that the form be updated to better reflect the law's intent. The Minister of Local Government, Patrice Mugenzi, explained that the form was introduced to protect the interests of heirs, particularly the children of the deceased. He noted that in some cases, widows and widowers had remarried and used inherited properties for the benefit of their new spouses, potentially disadvantaging the legitimate children of the deceased. Article 377 specifies that in the best interests of the heirs, the surviving spouse cannot dispose of more than a half of the shared property. You're still watching RTV News. Now let's take a look at matters making headlines globally. President-elect Donald Trump did not rule out using military or economic coercion to gain control of Panama Canal and Greenland. White House Bureau Chief Patsy reports his remark Tuesday came hours after his son made a surprise trip to Greenland. VOA has details.
Semi-autonomous Danish territory and the canal belonging to Panama that connects the Caribbean Sea with the Pacific Ocean. The United States must control both, said President-elect Donald Trump. At a press conference in Mar-a-Lago on Tuesday, Trump was asked if he can assure he would not use economic and military coercion to do so.
No, I can't assure you on either of those two, but I can say this. We need them for economic security.
Last week, Panama celebrated the 25th anniversary of the transfer of the canal from the United States.
En nuestras manos se va a quedar para siempre.
The canal is going to stay in our hands forever. Today we see the Panamanian flag flying freely, as if it had always been there.
And since 1941, the U.S. has maintained a military base in Greenland, which is part of the Kingdom of Denmark, but has wide-ranging autonomy.
People really don't even know if Denmark has any legal right to it. But if they do, they should give it up because we need it for national security. That's for the free world. I'm talking about protecting the free world. You look at, you don't even need binoculars. You look outside, you have China ships all over the place. You have Russian ships all over the place. We're not letting that happen.
Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen has repeatedly said Greenland is not for sale. She said it again Tuesday as the president-elect's son, Donald Trump Jr., arrived for a previously unannounced visit to the territory.
I will make it very clear that seen with the eyes of the Danish government, Greenland is for the Greenlandic people.
During Tuesday's press conference, Trump was also asked whether he would use military force to annex Canada, which he suggested should be part of the U.S.
No, economic force. Because Canada and the United States, that would really be something.
Now, California firefighters battled wind-wiped wildfires that tore across the Los Angeles area, destroying homes, clogging roadways as tens of thousands fled and straining resources as officials prepared for the situation to worsen early Wednesday. The flames from a fire that broke out Tuesday evening near a nature preserve in the inland foothills northeast of LA spread so rapidly that staff at a senior living center had to push dozens of residents in wheelchairs and hospital beds down the street to a parking lot. The residents waited there in their bedclothes as embers fell around them until ambulances, buses, and even construction vans arrived to take them to safety. Another blaze that started hours earlier ripped through the city's Pacific Palisades neighborhood, a hillside area along the coast dotted with celebrity residences and memorialized by the Beach Boys in their 1960s hit in USA. In the frantic haste to get to safety, roadways became impassable when scores of people abandoned their vehicles and fled on foot, some toting suitcases. The traffic jam on Palisades Drive prevented emergency vehicles from getting through, and bulldozer was brought in to push the abandoned cars to the side and create a path. Now that brings us to the close of tonight's bulletin, but before we leave, a reminder of our top stories. Security analyst in the region finds that the international community should not deliberately overlook the root causes of the security issues in the eastern DRC. Economic analysts emphasize the importance of focusing on the agriculture sector as it has the potential to reduce the country's reliance on costly imports while increasing domestic production. On the international scene, President-elect Donald Trump did not rule out using military or economic coercion to gain control of the Panama Canal and Greenland. And that brings us to the close of today's bulletin. Thank you for joining us. On behalf of the entire news team, we wish you a productive week ahead. Stay safe.